All evidence pointed to a desperate drowning. Alias Davidson sprang into the room, firing his gun. In the quiet town of St. Joseph, Missouri, a man named Dave Holden lived an unassuming life. He was a newcomer, and no one knew much about his past. But an idle inquiry from an older inhabitant sparked a peculiar thought. Was he kin to the original Dave Holden, a Civil War captain who had died recently? The old captain, a man of integrity, had famously refused a pension from the government he served. This new Dave Holden, however, saw an opportunity. Months later, an application for Captain David Holden's pension arrived at the bureau in Washington. It was quickly flagged. Larry Simmons, an operative for the Pension Bureau, was tasked with investigating this clear attempt at fraud. His supervisor's instructions were blunt.
Locate this man Holden, or whatever his right name is, and see that he gets all that's coming to him.
Simmons traveled to St. Joseph and began watching Holden's post office box. To ensure Holden would check it without suspicion, Simmons sent a dummy letter, a fake advertisement, to the box. When Holden came to retrieve it, wondering why he'd received mail from an unknown source, Simmons had him in sight and followed him to his boarding house. That evening, while making inquiries, fate intervened. Holden's room was directly above the parlor, and an old-fashioned hot air register became an unexpected sound transmitter. Simmons overheard the landlady discussing him, then a mumble, and finally, her voice clearly stating,
"Mr. Holden is arrest on a charge of attempting to obtain money under false pretenses."
Panicked, he grabbed a hat and raincoat, then vaulted out the window, vanishing into the dark. Despite Simmons' swift action, Holden eluded capture. The next morning, a local police chief delivered a grim bundle, Holden's clothes, and a suicide note found at the docks. A splash heard in the river, a water-soaked cap recovered. All evidence pointed to a desperate drowning. The official report concluded David Holden had committed suicide by drowning rather than submit to arrest. The Pension Bureau, believing the case closed, sent a wire. Better luck next time. Anyhow, Holden won't bother us again. 7 years passed. Larry Simmons, now with the Post Office Department, was investigating a ring of blackmailing fortune tellers in Seattle. Posing as a wealthy gentleman, he found himself drawn into Madame Ahara's web. But then, a familiar face emerged from the clairvoyant's house, a man with a waxed mustache and goatee. The disguise was good, but Simmons recognized him instantly. The cap, the features, it was Holden, the man who supposedly drowned 7 years ago. That evening, Simmons returned to Madame Ahara's with a plan and a cordon of police outside. He confronted Yvette, revealing his identity and demanding she expose Madame and her associates. Stunned, Yvette stammered a revelation.
"He is Madame! Davidson runs the whole thing!"
At that moment, a rug on the wall swung open and an enraged Holden, alias Davidson, sprang into the room, firing his gun. The crystal ball shattered, plunging the room into darkness. Despite a wound to his arm, Simmons, driven by 7 years of unresolved pursuit, wrestled Holden to the floor. When the lights came on, the police sergeant asked if he needed help.
"No, but you might lend me a pair of bracelets. This bird got away from me once, some 7 years ago, and I'm not taking any more chances."